Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Agent Psycho. This video commentary doesn't really have to pertain with combat arms in any video games necessarily. It's gonna be one of my more, you know, random rants, I guess you could say. But it's been a topic that it's been in my mind for a good year now. In fact, it's probably been a lot longer that's been floating around my head, but I never really bothered to talk about it because I figured no one would really want to listen to this kind of thing. But since it came up recently with me, so I figured I just might as well get it off my chest and try talking about it a little bit. So as you can tell by the title, this is more involved with my fan fiction writing. If you guys don't know, I like to write fan fictions. I watch a lot of anime, and I think 2 years ago, yeah, it should be 2 years by now, I decided to go ahead and write my own fan fiction because I decided, hey, I'm a big fan of watching anime and reading good stories, or watching good stories for that matter. Why not just make my own? So I tried my hand in, creating my own story and whatever, and I thought it was all going to be fine and dandy, and, some people would like it, some people wouldn't, but, as with anything, you're always going to run into that kind of problem slash I don't know what the good counterpart to problem is, but whatever, I'm getting sidetracked. In any case, earlier this weekend I got a review on one of my stories. Oh, by the way, if you guys didn't know that I do write stories and want to check out my stories, just refer to the links down below. In almost every video, I think I put links to my fanfiction profile where you can see all my stories that I've written. But that shameless self-plug aside, the other day I received a review on one of my stories that said something along the lines of, oh, this character is such a Gary Stu, but it's great, it's your character's, so much of a Gary Stu that, it would be nice if he wasn't so much of a Gary Stu, but it's great anyway, or something along the lines of that. I usually don't pay attention to reviews like those because they don't really bother telling me anything other than your story sucks. But that kind of got me back to thinking about how, people seemingly hate this whole conception of this Gary Stu thing. I remember when I first submitted my story, or first published my story and started working on fanfiction, .net, I got a lot of initial reviews saying that, oh, your character's such a Gary Stu, it seems like he has no weaknesses or whatever, and at first I was like, what the hell's a Gary Stu? Because you have to keep in mind, I'm just a guy who writes stories for fun. I am not by any means a literary critic. I don't really care about really anyone else's work. I usually just spend time writing my own fan fictions and don't really bother reading anyone else's because that's all the time I ever really have. I'd like to read some other people's, but I feel like if I start doing that, it's kind of like anime. Once you start watching an anime, you kind of don't want to. For me anyway, it's kind of hard for me to not keep, not continue watching it until the very end. I'm the kind of guy who likes to finish it through or see it through to the very end, unless it's like an ongoing anime or something like that. Speaking of which, I need to watch SAO3. Anyways, so that, and I was like, well, what's a Gary Stu? It's by this connotations of it, it seems like, oh, you're a perfect character, whatever. So earlier today, I looked up the definition in context for this video, and apparently, according to Wikipedia, a Mary Stu, which is the female variant of a Gary Stu, is apparently an idealized character in fanfiction. And according to Urban Dictionary, the Mary Stu apparently is basically the same thing. So perfect as to be annoying. And I mean, if Urban Dictionary puts it that way, then I guess people being pissed off at my stories is understandable in quotation marks. And apparently, Gary Stu, when I type that into Urban Dictionary, says, "How could you write something like that? He's obviously a Gary Stu." So clearly, the phrases Gary Stu and Mary Sue have some very clear negative connotations to them. Obviously, as I've explained through those definitions. Apparently, my stories are very Gary Stu and Mary Sue-esque because my main characters are very, strong. They seemingly have no weaknesses, or it's less that they don't have any weaknesses then they are, really really powerful. I gave them really really strong abilities, and I guess some people see that as really annoying and say, what's the point of having such powerful characters in a story like this? And to that, I just kind of facepalm and shake my head, because I'm just like, well, if you have a problem with the story in regards to how the characters are portrayed, and something like that, where you can't really change it because it's like core to the story's essence or nature. I don't really know what to say, but for something like that, if you're complaining about a character, or something that you see or perceive as a Mary Stu, or Mary Sue, or Gary Stu, then just stop reading. It's the same kind of sentimentality that I have with my videos on my YouTube channel. If you don't like what you see on my channel, if you don't like my videos, just stop watching my videos, stop wasting your goddamn time, and go do something else. There's no need for you to leave any stupid troll comments unless it's kind of warranted if I do something stupid, or anything of the matter, because you're just wasting your time. You're not helping anybody. You're wasting my time on top of that by making me read useless comments and making me wish I didn't waste a minute or two of my life reading your stupid comments. And just go do something else. If you don't like it, go ahead and do something else. I'm not putting a gun to your head and telling you, oh, you have to read my fucking story. That's not the case here. So leaving complaints like that is useless to me, because you as a reader, what the hell are you going to do about the story? Are you going to write my story for me? No, it's the exact same thing as my YouTube channel. Are you going to make my videos for me? No, of course not. Then why the hell are you wasting both of our time making a dumb remark like that? And it's one thing to kind of express your opinion and say, oh, I kind of don't like this character because, he seems like a Mary Sue. If you say it like that, then okay, fine, that's fine. I can clearly tell your comment was not made in a derogatory or a kind of like a provocative manner. If you're just saying, oh, I'm just saying, but your character just seems like he's a little bit of a Gary Stu, then that's fine. I can accept that. There's not really much to deny in the way of the fact that my stories typically have main characters or protagonists that are very very strong, and personally I like them to be very strong. I write those stories with the intention of giving them very strong main characters, and yes, they do come off as Gary Stu or Mary Sue-esque to a lot of people who don't really like the whole Gary Stu or Mary Sue concept thing. But the reason why I put in those kinds of quote-unquote Mary Stu or Gary Stu, the more I say that phrase, the more I fucking hate it, is because as I was growing up, back in the days when I used to watch anime a lot, like heavily, back in my late middle school, and early high school days, I would always watch these animes and read all these mangas where the main character is like a fucking incompetent loser. He's yeah, I'll just stop there. Otherwise, I'm gonna keep ranting on for another couple minutes. But yeah, a lot of the stories, a lot of the animes that I read, watched, whatever, they have characters or main characters that are just I get frustrated reading or watching, because I'm like, dude, a couple of your problems that you had could have been solved a lot sooner if only you weren't so goddamn stupid. If they were incompetent, that's another thing entirely, because it's probably not their fault for not being able to do something they're physically not able to do or whatever. Then okay, that's whatever. But at a certain point, personally, I get kind of pissed off at stories or animes that feature characters that are either complete wimps or just are not, just simply aren't capable enough. So when I started writing my stories 2 years ago, I was like, okay, I'm going to write my stories with characters that know what they're doing, they're whatever it is that's their occupation, they're going to be really fucking good at anything they do, because I'm just tired of conforming to this formula of, God, the main character is an idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's got emotional problems. He can't even handle girls well. I'm looking at you too, Loveru. But, well, I shouldn't say but. So that's why I decided to write my stories, with strong main characters. And while people can accuse me or my stories of having Gary Stews or Mary Sues, you know what? I don't fucking care. To me, I would much rather read, watch a story or manga or anime that has a lot of badass do it all characters who know what they're doing in every single step of the way. To a certain extent, it could get annoying. Yes, if it's clear that there's really no point in portraying the character because he does everything right anyway, unless it's like a comedy anime or something like that where you're supposed to get a few laughs out of it. But if it's supposed to be a story that's supposed to be like an adventure or like a drama or something that's not comedy. We all know the shonen and shonen mangas or whatever. But if it's something like that, and the character's obviously a Gary Stu, then yeah, of course, there's limits to how strong the main character can be. But in my case, it's not really like that. They're strong characters, but along the way, it's not like they have it easy all the time. They can get through the problems that I throw at them, sure, but it ain't gonna be easy. Who knows if they're gonna get out of it in one piece? Maybe lose a arm or a leg here or there. Do I make it easy for my characters? Fuck no. I can be throwing them in the meat grinder every single fucking chapter, or I should say every fucking chapter. But it's not easy. Is the point that I'm trying to make. As much as people complain about Mary Sue's and Gary Stu's, personally, when I read a story, I don't really care what kind of character they throw at me, because if the author wants to make a character this way, then fine. It could be annoying. The more annoying characters for me personally are the ones that either in animes have a really high-pitched voice, like some girls that are voice acted by voice actors have high-pitched voices that kind of scrapes on my ears a little bit. Either that, or the characters themselves are really fucking annoying, either uselessly annoying, or maybe you can just tell that they're fucking annoying and they were meant to be annoying. Those are the kinds of characters that I kind of have a problem with. But in the end, it's like, well, they're characters. They are who they are, and they're part of the story. Nothing. Me as a viewer, nothing I can do to go over to the production team and say, "Oh, hey, I don't like this character. Why don't you change it?" Am I going to do that? No, it's not even worth my time anyway. Just watch the anime, or if that really bothers me so much, just stop watching it altogether and move on to another one, or spend my time doing something more worthwhile. And that's really how I feel. Readers, critiquers, whatever. Unless your job is to be a professional critiquer, then that's something different entirely. But if you watch and read animes and mangas casually, it just as a pastime, as a hobby, you can leave comments, sure, but making a comment like, "Oh, this story has such a Gary Stu or is so Mary Sue," that's fucking pointless. That is honestly really, really pointless. And I kind of don't want to have to keep repeating this. I feel like it's a recurring theme, but sometimes there are a lot of different situations where I have to repeat the same message over and over again with just a few different layers of paint over them every single time. And this is another one of those topics where I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over, except this one it just has a new mask on, and I just have to explain it again because it has a new context. And as a writer, there are things that writers, YouTubers, whatever, if you're if you're someone who works in any sort of entertainment field, like even if it's casually, like writing fan fictions or making YouTube videos, yeah, sure, it's great to get feedback, and there's nothing wrong with that. But part of your job as a YouTuber, as a fanfiction writer, is to kind of weed out the criticisms that you take in and be able to see which ones are the more useful ones, the ones that you can use and to further improve your work, and which ones are the ones that you can just simply ignore and just say, yeah, well, fuck that. And one of the things that I just toss into the yeah, fuck that bin is any or any comments that have the phrase Gary Stu or Mary Sue in them, because those are my characters. These are my characters. These are how I have them to be throughout my stories. If you don't like it, get the fuck out. Click the exit button. I don't want to see you here. If you're not going to enjoy it, then just please don't kill yourself. Don't kill yourself. Don't waste my time, and don't even read it. Don't bother. Seeing what I have to offer you, because clearly it's nothing that I have to offer you will probably satisfy your craving for entertainment in reading or watching something. So that's all I have to say about this topic. Gary Stu's, Mary Sue's. Yeah, I understand that a lot of people kind of find him annoying, but if you're the kind of person who finds those that archetype annoying, then first of all, I feel bad for you. Second of all, get your head out of your ass and stop feeling fucking arrogant or stop feeling all high and mighty and shit, thinking that you can go around telling people that their characters are not conforming to your expectations. What is this? Am I trying to write a fucking shonen manga here? I'm not writing a shonen manga. If you want to read a shonen manga, you go subscribe to Shonen Jump and read Naruto, One Piece, or Bleach or some shit like that. That's not what I'm trying to write here. I'm trying to write my own story that's not necessarily shonen and try to have a fun time with it. I spend a lot of hours writing and making sure that my stories can be the best that I think they can be, and for me to have to deal with anything else that I don't really want to have to deal with is just a complete waste of my time, and I urge you guys not to do it either. I mean, you guys can, but I'm just gonna ignore it. So it also applies to YouTube as well. So just keep that in mind for you guys who are watching on YouTube. So anyways, thank you guys very much for watching, and we will see you guys later. Thanks for listening. See ya.